Dear Princess Sunbutt, Letter 101.
Dear Princess Elven, today I learned two very important things. First and foremost, according to Rarity, a lady does not get drunk. She gets fun. There's a subtle but significant difference between the two. Being drunk means you have an excuse for making poor decisions. Being fun is the same thing, but you're a slut. The second thing I learned is not to trust Punkus Vidonkus with large sums of money, especially when visiting new places. I put her in charge of buying supplies in Rockwell before we set out for Arimaspi's ruin, but she spent half of it on a bottle of super fancy wine, which she and Rarity drank in a single sitting. If we cut corners, we could have bought enough supplies with the other half of our original amount, but unfortunately Rarity was fun. She dragged Pinky, I doubt that she put up much of a fight, to a club where they threw the rest of our money at exotic dancers. Rarity was then kicked out for getting grabby with one of them. Anon had to burn through the emergency fund you gave him to buy food and tents for us, so we wouldn't all die in the wilderness. There's no guarantee that we won't die anyway, so here's hoping the rumors about the gargoyle prove false. If we live, I'll have to give you the full rundown in person. We don't have enough money to buy any more parchment. Your Purple Red Ranger, Sparkplug.
To be fair to Pinkor, the label was really colorful and buyable. Also, I skimped on some of the supplies and kept about a third of the emergency fund, and if we need to fix some hurdy boo-boos, I'd rather not trust someone to work for free with a promise of payments from the crown later. You'd never know. Love, Anon. From Her Royal Highness Cellybean, RE Letter 101.
Dear Anon, I see the Sane One card got back to its proper place. Thank you for watching out for my little ponies. I'm certain that they would have survived, at least, but you've probably ensured that it will happen with far less therapy, medical issues, and property damage. Also, Miss Rarity is correct, but then that's because a lady traditionally does not imbibe enough to become drunk. Your friend, Tia. To my most faithful student, Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie tends to view money as a way to acquire more merriments before anything else, yes. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. To the gargoyle menacing my ponies in the vicinity of Van Hoover, I apologize in advance. Her Royal Highness Celestia.
Letter 102.
To Princess Celestia, I write to you in order to express great joy. We gained a chromosome today. Our party of adventurers recently saved the city from the hypnotic clutches of an evil wizard. We accomplished this with minimal bloodshed thanks to the quick thinking of Lysandrath, a fire mage who wanted to help us free his home. After peace was restored, Lysandrath requested to join us in our quest to vanquish evil across the land. I was overjoyed to hear this, and the party voted to accept him. Bookow does not trust him, however, so I have been tasked with keeping a close eye on him. I'm not worried, though. He has already proven himself to me. My thoughts cannot help but wander back to Orc Mercenary. I held those same feelings then, and tragedy struck shortly thereafter. And I have been chastised for my optimism before, but I know things will only get better with Lysandrath here. He is kind and charismatic and strong, and I am sure our friendship will last a long time. Stu.
From Her Royal Highness Celestia, RE Letter 102.
Dear Stu, just remember, my little changeling, that even if a friendship is brief, that does not mean that it was not real. Sometimes, friendships can even form between enemies, as odd as that sounds. I hope that you are correct. Just do not forget to make friends with others outside of the context of your adventure as well. It is always a pleasure to hear from you. Your friend, Celestia. Dear Anon, Lies and Wrath? I mean, that's a bit on the nose, and strangely similar to the name of an actual dragon I've met. He was actually fairly mild-mannered. Your friend, Tia.
Letter 103.
Dear Princess Sunnyside Out, today I learned that the earlier you introduce a child to drugs, the more likely they are to grow up cool. Kids are as dumb as your ass is fat. I was substituting for Cheerily this morning so she could attend a seminar on how to be a better judge of character. She gave me a bunch of old safety videos for the little gremlins to watch, which made my job easy-weasy apple-queasy. I popped in the drug video, and we watched it. You know how those videos work, right? They show some kids dressed like every punk stereotype combined, the kids offer drugs to a normie kid, the normie kid bitches out of answering, everyone tells little Billy how drugs won't make him cool, the punk offers Billy drugs again, Billy says no, everyone cheers while the punk acts pouty in the background, group hug, freeze frame, fade out, roll credits. It's the same formula they've been using since before Granny Smith was born. They make the punks look like cool kids, then try to show that kind of coolness is bad. They spell things out so blatantly that even I could understand it. Problem is, these kids are fucking retarded. Well, some of them are retarded. It was like 4, but I didn't learn any names. Anyway, this group of quasi-purples took everything at face value. They started talking to each other about how they'd finally be cool if they just had some drugs. As a good person, I knew I had to do something. So, I disguised myself and offered them drugs when they were alone. And before you get your titties in a teapot, it wasn't real drugs. It was a carefully crafted, non-lethal poison made to look like drugs. I'm not so irresponsible as to give real drugs to kids. However, I knew making them sick wouldn't be enough to deter them entirely, so I needed to dispel the idea that their peers would give them more respect for taking drugs. To that end, I gathered the rest of the class and instructed them to mock the now sick kids. The plan worked seamlessly, but it remained to be seen whether or not the desired effect has been achieved. If I discover that they still have an interest in drugs, I may need to make a more proactive approach. I just hope that it doesn't come to that. Your typical substitute, toilet stain.
From Her Royal Highness Sunnyside Out, RE Letter 103.
To my most faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. As ever, your heart is in the right place, but I find a certain measure of flaw in your execution. First, illicit substances usually are the actions of carefully crafted, non-lethal, comparatively, poisons, which produce their effects based upon the impairment or misbehavior of some bodily function. So you did infect either drug or poisonfuls. Both of those are bad, Twilight. Furthermore, you should not teach ponies to mock others, even in an exercise intended for betterment. Finally, you neglected to inform Cheerly that you were still under the effects of a decree requiring a second adult present supervising your behavior around fulls, due to your many magical mishaps. We're extending that one, by the way, and adding both Anon and Trixie to that list of those who are not considered adults for this purpose. Spike remains on the approved list. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. To Ponyville Schoolhouse, Cheerilee. Dear Cheerilee, or head teacher, in the future, please ensure that a substitute is accredited, or simply cancel class that day with a request for an assignment to be written the next day of class. From the desk of Her Royal Highness, Celestia.
I have a feeling that Twilight views drugs way differently than literally anybody else on the planet. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my non-drugged out donators. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dresdon, Dospo, RuneScythe9852, CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Dwight Cornell, Gaggy, Secret Moon, Tall Rasha, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, Joe Pierce E, and Alex F. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.